was 1 week ago. 17 people lost their lives during a school shooting in Parkland, Florida.
Over the past week, schools across the country have been put to the test as more and more threats are reported. Today, superintendents from every Hampton Roads school district signed a letter guaranteeing zero tolerance when it comes to this behavior. Robert Boyd has the story.
I'm outside Blair Middle School in Ghent. This is one of at least 18 schools across Hampton Roads that have received safety threats in the past week. And so far, 7 students have been charged in regards to those threats. We spoke with parents today who say they are glad that school districts are taking these incidents seriously. Chip Eggleston has a 7-year-old son. He expects his school district to do everything in their power to make sure he is safe while in the classroom.
Something has to be done because if nothing's done, and guess what? My son right here, he might end up getting shot.
School districts across Hampton Roads tried to ease parents' concerns Wednesday, banding together to write a letter. Any threat made against any of our schools, even those made as a joke, will have serious repercussions, including potential criminal charges and possible recommendation for expulsion from school.
I think it's a great idea because parents are scared and children are scared and someone has to do something.
Richard Nichols says when it comes to school shootings, just a simple prank is enough to traumatize a little kid.
They have to do the drills in the schools, the active shooter drills. It's almost like an unknown fear they have to deal with, and it's just horrible.
Norfolk Superintendent Dr. Melinda Boone said no school district is immune from these threats, so it only makes sense to work together.
And there's strength in numbers, and we felt it was important for us to put out what is a very rare joint statement from superintendents within the region.
Then there are parents like Azuri Greenway, who chooses to homeschool her daughter, because sometimes these threats turn out to be the real thing.
It seems to be happening too much that, people almost kind of feel desensitized to it, and that's a terrible state for the world to be in.
But Boone insists public schools, at least in Hampton Roads, are up to the challenge of rooting out every threat and dealing with them swiftly and seriously.
Safety is our first priority because we know the parents who entrust their babies to us want their babies to come home each and every day, same way, if not better, than they left.
In Norfolk, Robert Boyd, 13 News Now.
Local police are trying to remind parents and kids that making threats can have very serious consequences, including jail time, hefty fines. And our legal analyst says any convictions have the potential to follow a child well into adulthood. If a teen who is 14 or older is convicted, that becomes public record.
A Class 6 felony carries up to 5 years in prison, and a Class 5 carries up to 10. They could not have a firearm in the future. It will make it very difficult for them to get jobs.
While some children are allowed to remain at home while they await a trial, others are held in juvenile detention. That will be the case for a Virginia Beach middle school student. She will sit in a juvenile detention center until her trial on March 8th.
Should have been one school shooting, and we should have fixed it. And I'm pissed, because my daughter I'm not going to see again. She's not here.
Today, a White House meeting wracked with raw emotion. Students, families, and parents who lost loved ones in the mass shooting pleading with the president for action. ABC's Tara Palmieri reports.
President Trump sat silently, listening to families and survivors of school shootings. They shared their grief and begged for action. Justin Gruber recalled hiding in a closet while his classmates were gunned down at his high school in Parkland last week.
There needs to be a significant change in this country because this has to never happen again. And people should be able to feel that when they go to school, they can be safe.
All these school shootings. It doesn't make sense. Fix it. Should have been one school shooting, and we should have fixed it. And I'm pissed, because my daughter I'm not going to see again. She's not here.
President Trump vowed to take more action than his predecessors.
It's not going to be talked like it has been in the past.
Arming teachers was one idea that seemed to resonate with President Trump. He recalled how assistant coach Aaron Feist died last week using his body as a human shield to protect the students.
If the coach had a firearm in his locker when he ran at this guy, that coach was very brave. Saved a lot of lives, I suspect. But if he had a firearm, he wouldn't have had to run. He would have shot, and that would have been the end of it.
But it was less popular with the students.
Does anybody like that idea here? Does anybody like it? Right? Yes? For Meadow, your beautiful Meadow. We talked about that. And do people feel strongly against it? Anybody? Anybody? Strongly against it?
The NRA put out a statement opposing the president's proposal to raise the age for purchase of long guns. Tara Palmieri, ABC News, Washington.
New tonight, another incident at a school in Virginia Beach as tensions remain high. Tonight we learned that a student brought a toy cap gun to Lansdowne High School. The principal sent a message home to parents saying a student was taken into police custody. The message also included a reminder that no weapon is allowed on school property, even a toy. The student has been disciplined.
Tonight kicked off one of 3 forums for the public focusing on a new mental health curriculum in Suffolk schools. Parents gathered at Kings Fork High School to get a preview of what their kids will be learning starting next week. Chanuher was at that meeting and tells us more about the goals.
The Suffolk School District is taking this topic seriously, talking about mental health with teenagers in their schools. Tonight, they're showing a video and having a talk with parents that eventually will roll out to classes across the district.
Mental health seems to have a stigma.
It's a conversation Suffolk Public Schools want to have with parents and staff before they tackle it with students.
We want to try to eliminate the stigma.
Partnering with the Sarah M. Peterson Foundation, the district hopes to educate about mental health and teach each other how to spot signs.
I think a lot of times adults don't know what to say or what to look for, and I think this is going to help.
The time is now for us to address suicide as a problem in our public health.
Michelle Peterson was the speaker Wednesday night at Kings Fork High School. She's the executive director of the Partnering Foundation, which she founded after her daughter committed suicide at 15.
We need to not be afraid to speak about suicide directly to people that concern us.
Parents were shown a video Wednesday that will be rolled out next week in health and PE classes district-wide for students. It's about how depression can have different effects on people and how to battle the stigma.
If it's successful like we think it is going to be, we're going to do the same thing in the middle schools.
For the district, this is an effort for everyone, staff, parents, and students. And with everyone on board, they hope to equip everyone with knowledge. In Suffolk, Chanuher, 13 News Now.
A relief for some in-home daycare providers and parents in Chesapeake. The City Council voted not to limit the number of children they can accept into their daycares. We told you recently about a proposal to lower the number of children allowed in homes from 12 to 8. The proposal also included a limit on the number of hours they can operate. Daycare providers say military families in particular need more flexible hours than a simple 9 to 5. Several people spoke out, urging council not to make those changes.
Tonight, the family of the late Reverend Billy Graham says he will lie in repose for 2 days next week, followed by a private funeral. Graham's son, Franklin Graham, will give the eulogy. Tributes have been pouring in all day after the beloved evangelist died at his home in North Carolina. He was 99 years old. He was known as America's pastor, but for more than half a century, Billy Graham reached people not just in America. He brought the word of God to more than 100 million people in 85 countries. He remained humble, once telling ABC's Diane Sawyer that he did not want people to say nice things about him when he died.
I don't want them to say big things about me because I don't deserve them. I want to hear one person say something nice about me, and that's the Lord. When I face him, I want him to say to me, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant."
Family spokesman says Graham's body will be taken from Asheville to Charlotte on Saturday. The procession is expected to take 3.5 hours, ending at the Billy Graham Library in Charlotte. Graham will lie in repose Monday and Tuesday, and a private funeral again will be held on Friday, March 2nd. Invitations will be extended to President Trump and former presidents.
Billy Graham made several stops here in Hampton Roads. Graham also made close friends in Virginia. One is Pat Robertson, who said this morning on CBN, Billy Graham will be sadly missed, and said no leader of evangelical Christianity could come close to Billy Graham in stature. A professor at Regent University said Graham had access to some of the most powerful people in the world, but he didn't use his influence.
What he did was he ministered to people on the left, he ministered to people on the right. He was respected on both sides.
Gallup named Graham as one of the 10 most admired men in the world over 50 times. Graham's influence also extended to the White House. He met with every single sitting president, from Harry Truman to Barack Obama, serving as a close confidant to many. While his failing health prevented him from being as heavily involved in his later years, he still managed to meet with President Trump before Trump took office.